stomping through the city, knocking over buildings, having a good, wonderful day. Oh, hey, Godzilla Jr., how's it going? Son, why are you just staring at the wall over there and... Oh god, why'd it get dark? What the hell? Huh, I wonder where he went. Who knocked over this building? Ah, crap, not again. Okay, seriously, what's going on here? Did Steve not pay his light bill or something? Maybe I'll go see what Mothra's up to. Oh god, Mothra, what happened to you? Is there anything I can do to help you, man? Alright, seriously, this is getting ridiculous. Nothing? You know, it's been dark for kind of a while now. Huh. Peekaboo. Ah! Hey guys, welcome to Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the Bandai and Tamashii Nation SH MonsterArts Destroyah. And if you guys don't already know, he is from the film Godzilla vs. Destroyah, where the premise of the film is Godzilla's having a nuclear meltdown because his heart's failing. So the military are trying to stop him from doing his old thing of trying to end the world with his body. And then there's Godzilla Jr. who's doing his own thing, and he got very large from the previous film from Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Because of all the radiation that Godzilla's been putting off, it increased him in size and kind of made him look more Godzilla-ish. And then there's the Destroyah factor in the film, which Destroyah was made by these little crustaceans that get mutated by the Oxygen Destroyer from Godzilla in 1954. But throughout the course of the film, you see him in various forms, and this would be one of them, and eventually evolve into Destroyah. And then there's big epic confrontations in the film. It's awesome. If you guys haven't seen the film, you really need to go check it out. But moving on to the figure here, as you can see, it's not currently in the packaging, but I had a request to do this video, so decided to actually bring this to you, and I actually saw the box for this too, which is really awesome packaging. Really love the image of Destroyah over here, very menacing. Even has some of the extra logos here on the bottom for 2012 when he came out. Destroyah's emblem. But if he was inside the package, you see a lot of them in here where you have like his giant wingspan would be coming across. Looks really sweet. For the top of the packaging, you got the awesome Batman logo with Destroyah in the middle of it. Destroyah. Destroyah. For the side of the packaging, you get this nice black and white image of a Destroyah with his body in the background. On this side here, you get Destroyah, this nice kind of sparkly purple lettering, which really is hard to see with the red going on in the background, but it's pretty cool. For the back of the packaging, you just get a nice image of the figure inside the packaging and all these dynamic poses. Evil looking Godzilla in the background. A lot of stuff I can't understand. And some legal mumbo jumbo. So, without further ado, let's get him open. Yeah, he's not in here. Let's just get into him. So now that we have Destroyah out of my display case, we're going to go over his accessories first, which is pretty quick because he literally comes with nothing. Which is a bit of a bummer for this guy, which it would have been nice if he would have had his Oxygen Destroyer beam just to give him a little bit more to do in the display case, which isn't that hard to live without because I have access to other beam effects, so I can get that effect to work if I need to. But what would have been really sweet if he would have had his horn laser so he could be chopping into some Kaiju's flesh, which is something that would have been really nice and really unique for this actual figure and would have been a great accessory to come along with him. But I can understand why he didn't come with it, because initially when I got him, he was around $120, and I think some change after that. Which, to me at the time, is not a very bad price for an import figure that has this guy overall scale. And Destroyah is a freaking huge kaiju, with some of the only monsters in that case being relatively, in comparison to him, being King Ghidorah, Biollante, and my new addition with Otachi. There isn't too many other figures that can really stand toe-to-toe with this guy in terms of just overall scale and bulkiness, which is something that for the price is really appreciated. But again, would really love to have seen some beam effects, but I guess I could live without it, because this guy, in terms of just overall details, is phenomenal, which coming in for a little bit of a closer look. So first we'll go over his head sculpt, which looks amazing, by the way. Really love the blood red and blacks that he's got going on in his face here, and pretty much the rest of the body, which you think for this guy being very dark in color that he would kind of maybe blend in with a lot of the other things on the shelf, but he really does stand out with just overall having a very demonic look and very contrasting to a lot of the other kaijus from the series. Like, just look at these eyes. Are these the eyes of a kaiju that you want to fudge with, man? I don't think so. Which is one of my first major actual complaints about this kaiju is actually his eyes, which you can see are jet black. So he has this very kind of shark look to him, which in the film, they're actually more of a yellow color, maybe even slightly on the orange tinge, kind of like a good fiery effect for his eyes. But no, he's just dead inside. So it would have been really nice to have seen that effect. Now, I've actually contemplated on getting a paint pen to actually color over those, but For this guy being so expensive, I just kind of decided to leave it alone. But for the rest of his face, really love the way his mouth turned out. It looks really gnarly with all the teeth kind of sticking out of his lips there. And then he has even a second row of teeth inside the mouth, and even his tongue's detailed really nice with a nice fleshy red to it. Now on the side of his mouth, he even has some teeth here, which they kind of look like they'd be articulated, but they don't really move at all, so I wouldn't play around with those too much. And then for his horn, has a very nice translucent plastic and has this kind of overall ember effect to it. Looks really sweet. Even on the upper part of his head, he has a lot of details going on here, which looks really awesome. Then coming down to his chest, has this overall fruity color scheme to it with this nice peach with this more of a plum color covering over top of it, and has this nice gloss finish to it, and very contrasting to a lot of the rest of what this kaiju is doing. What would have been really nice for his chest is, in the film, this is actually what I would deem his weak spot, where Godzilla comes up to him and starts smacking him in the chest here and knocking all these little plates down, and they were actually movable in the film, and on the figure they're fixated in there, which doesn't really bother me as much, but it just would have been a nice little added effect to the actual figure. And then for his arms, they're freaking huge with all these nice spikes coming off the top of them, and overall having this black color scheme to him with this short little stumpy arms and gnarly looking hand here, which I don't know how it holds on to anything, but we're just gonna run with it. Has this nice bone color to the nails here, look really sweet. And then moving on to the wings here, which is the scariest part of this entire figure. Because as you can see, these wings plastic is really thin, and there's a lot of little segments here, just because when you want to fold it in, they can shift in on each other to make it look pretty realistic. And then you can expand the wing out and adjust accordingly to get it to look good as well. And compared to the other flying monsters, he's the only one with really this kind of technique going on with them. And just with this being really thin plastic, I'd just be really careful when you guys are adjusting this accordingly. Especially just in general, because with wings, you think you could be able to put him in a flying pose, which he actually can kind of lift his head up a bit so that you could actually get him look like he's flying around. But with this guy being so heavy and these wings being so fragile looking, I would just be terrified to put this guy on a stand. Because using this thing just seems like it'd be a horrible idea with this guy. So I just really wouldn't recommend putting him in any kind of flying pose unless you can really find a nice sturdy base to keep him upright. But so the wings are just mainly just for kind of aesthetic reasons, which again, for the actual movie, I don't really could see how this monster could have actually flown anyways, but it's a pretty cool effect nonetheless. Again, keeps to kind of keep with the demonic theme that he's got going on here. And then for these guys, little mini wings here, which look really nice as well. Overall, not as elaborate as the big wings here, but still a pretty cool added little piece. Then coming along his legs here, you can see that he has a bunch of the same kind of nails and bones sticking out of his knees and feet here, which seems a little excessive to me. Looks really sweet, don't get me wrong, but it just seems a little bit like overkill, but has the same kind of bone colorings going on with all the spikes and claws here. Looks really sweet. He's got a little tiny one here, and actually even has detail on the underpad of his feet, which is a really awesome touch on this figure. Granted, again, you're not going to really ever be able to see this thing because he's going to probably just be standing on your shelf, but it's cool that they thought to incorporate that. Then even for his lower abdomen, especially right here where the shell kind of connects to his waist here, looks really nice. Has this nice organic kind of look to it, which kind of helps to offset a lot of the shell pattern going on here and kind of reminiscent of what you see in like the Guyver, so that's actually pretty cool. And then moving on to the back here, you'll see a lot more of the blood red and black here coming along the back here with each of these little crests here being individually sculpted, which is really awesome looking. And it's just, again, really helps to pull off the overall crustacean look that this guy has going on here. And then moving along the tail here, looks really cool as well. Show you guys the underneath of the tail. It's actually really, really dark in comparison to the top because this has a lot more red going on with it. And then his little pinches at the end of the tail. Rawr. So as far as articulation, he has a lot going on here. Some of it gets hindered a bit with a lot of the plastic here, but he's still pretty impressive nonetheless, where his head can look up about yay far, down about yay far. Can look side to side, really nice. His mouth can move up and down and can't actually close all the way, which is a bit of a bummer. Like, he's always got this kind of like kissy face going on where he's like, mm. And then for his arms here, can pretty much rotate all the way around if you really wanted it to, which is actually pretty surprising, to be honest. Shoulder pads can move in and out a little bit, nothing too crazy going on. You can flap a little bit. Then for his actual arm at the lower part of the shoulder pad, it can rotate, move up and down a little bit. Then also has a joint here at the part of the elbow there. And then his hand can rotate all the way around and has a little bit of play to it. And then each of these claws are also posable where they can move in and out and a little bit side to side. For his waist, he can rotate a little, not a whole lot. Not really much of a crunch there going on. Also, his legs can move about that far outward, about that far inward. For his leg, can move back about yay far, forward about yay far. There's a bend here at the knee, a little bit of a rotation there. Also at the feet, not too much of a pivot up and down. Really nice rotation though, and then can also move side to side. So for his wings, can move up about yay far, down about yay far, which isn't a whole lot of range of motion going on. And then for the base of the shoulder, can move up and down, can also rotate all the way around. For his little wings here, can move a little bit, also has a rotation here. And then for his tail, you actually get a decent amount of play with it. Doesn't have quite as many segmented joints as some of the other Kaijus in the line, but still overall decent amount of play there. And then even the pincers up here, sitting him down for a sec, can actually move in and out a little bit. Nothing too elaborate, but it still gives you a little bit of play with it, and it can also rotate a little bit up and down. So for his articulation, it's actually really impressive. The one thing I noticed though is that if you want him to be standing upright, you're gonna probably be using his tail as a support so that he can actually stand. Because when I try to lean him forward, he has a lot of back weight to him, so he kind of just plops back, and the way his knees are and stuff, they don't really bend quite that well. And you can get him to stand, it's just a bit of a chore. So that's a wee bit of a bummer because, as you can see, blah, sits down. So even with all the articulation, he's kind of hard to get him to do like very intimidating poses. Like, there we go. Got him to stand up a little bit better. But as you can see, with a little bit of finesse, or what I just used some brute force, you can get him to stand without the use of his tail. It just takes a little bit of finagling to get him into these positions. But let's get him next to some of the other Kaijus and see how he stacks up next to him. So for some quick comparison, here's the SH MonsterArts Destroyah with the SH MonsterArts Destroyah Evolution set. And here's some of the other characters from the film with the Super X3, the San Diego Comic-Con Exploding Godzilla, and Godzilla Jr. And here he is with one of the only other Destroyers that I own, the Bandai Creations Destroyah, still in the box. I'm so glad I got to replace you. And here he is with the NECA Pacific Rim Otache. And here he is with the Ultra X Ultraman Tiga, because he still hasn't made it back in the case yet. And here he is with Chibi Destroyah. So overall Destroyah, his articulation is amazing. His details, while still really good, could be slightly better, especially in the eye region. Because to me, his eyes just seem very soulless and don't help to accentuate the character in any way. And another thing that's a little bit of a bummer here with Destroyah is that since he doesn't come with the accessories, if you want to set up cool poses kind of like this one, you're going to have to use some of the other parts you've gotten with previous entries in the SH MonsterArts line, which is a little bit of a bummer for this figure. So while not being my favorite SH MonsterArts figure, I still think he's one of the coolest looking SH MonsterArts figures. Let's just face it, Destroyah is a badass looking kaiju, and they did an awesome job of translating him from the movie to the figure. And when people check out my collection, he's one of the ones that people ask me about the most just because of just how he looks in contrast to all the other kaijus. And in the end, I really do recommend picking up this guy, especially if you're really into SH MonsterArts figures, because your collection is just not complete without the Oxygen Destroyer himself. So what do you guys think? Have you guys seen Godzilla vs. Destroyer? What's your favorite Godzilla villain, or seafood just not your thing? Please let us know in the comments. We'll have closer pictures of him on Facebook. If you want to click the link in the description below. Please don't be afraid to share this video around. If you like this and want to see more stuff like this, please give us a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.